He said I reminded me of his kids.
Yeah. Why do you think he was talking to you instead of someone else?
I don't know. I'm kind of like a unique person. You can't find much people like me.
Yeah. Yeah. And why do you think he doesn't show up anymore?
Maybe because I'm older. I don't know.
Yeah. How old were you when he?
I can live with them. But only on one occasion. Can you try and keep them away from me? Because they're very, very annoying.
And that's what we have to do at home.
Yeah.
Do our best to separate.
That's not going to work.
God bless America.
Yeah, that's not going to work. Going to work.
1. Greetings to you again, and the same subject is very dirty and something very disgusting to talk about, and I think I broke the record in speaking against gangs for mind control inside Iraq, and their leader, the devil, who made himself a prophet inside Iraq, is with him in the anomaly. But unfortunately I did not make any progress, and I could not even scratch this dirty gangs are walking, but perhaps I could save many of them when they turned away from them, or when I reveal all the tricks that they have, that it is a disaster inside Iraq in every sense of the word. Human massacres unparalleled in history. They are war criminals. Also, as an economic catastrophe, Iraq money has been stolen, and they are developing weapons for the mind control and recruit the stick dad. They are gangs, as if they were a family of thieves distributed among the regions, and each thief would call himself in the name of the area from which he was stolen or seized for him. The one in this region becomes a manager of his brothers, the thieves, all of them inside Iraq. This gang called itself the God's Disappearing Organization. Of course, I don't want to repeat it. I said it before, but I will try to mention new things, and I will start by describing this devil, the leader of this gang, and his way of leading this gang. Through its short is close to what I mean. Also, when the story of victim's position is made a scapegoat or a choice through this story, you will know who the victim is, also how to falsify the characteristics of her or a position so that you do not know him at all, as this game is what makes many do not help the victim with anything. On the contrary, they are against it or with the gang. We start with the first story, which is that it is said that a fraudster lives on lies.
I started hearing voices calling out to me. I was shocked, but I wasn't overwhelmed. I thought it was a divine experience, and I was chosen because I was special. I was hearing up to 30 to 40 voices at once. Some sounded like family members, others sounded like friends, and there was a lot of celebrity voices as well. People like Will Ferrell, Emma Thompson, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and even our past Prime Minister, Stephen Harper. It was funny, when I was talking to him, he was busy telling me I was a brat, because all I would do was bug him, saying, like, how are you doing today? And he's like, I'm busy. He'd always say that to me. But if that was real, right? I remember one moment I was sleeping on a couch at my family's place, and the voices kept mocking me and jeering at me and telling me I should die and things like that. So I said, please, voices, just go away. And they said, okay, we'll go away if you go outside. So I said, oh, okay, I'll go outside. And so I went outside, and the voices disappeared, and I was so relieved. But then I went back inside, and all of a sudden they're like, ha, gotcha. And I was extremely distressed.
Chosen one, and it's chasing you to touch the slip of your garment because you are the one. The irony is, of course, that as I speak this sentence, tens of thousands of people worldwide are insane, and they all feel they are the chosen one. So something is not right there.
He said they would never desert me. And they began to protect and guide me, but also punish me if I didn't do what they thought I should be doing. We would spend hours in deep conversation where I learnt the world's a dangerous place. They told me I was hated, that people were out there that wanted to get rid of me. They told me I was useless, that I was hopeless, that I was fat, that I was ugly, and I was stupid. Things I had tried so desperately to hide from myself and from others. But they had uncovered the truth. I became terrified of going out and suspicious of everyone. They told me I was a messenger from God, and they promised me redemption if I proved myself worthy. They led me down some very dark paths with promises of enlightenment, but all I ever experienced was bitter disappointment. I became dependent on them. My companions were authoritative, but they were vibrant, vital, and impossible to ignore. They knew so much about everything, and I was totally absorbed by them. Over time, it became I hear a variety of different voices, male, female, young, old. Some of them even have these crazy accents, and they are completely obsessed with me. They observe and remark on my every action, my every thought. There's no privacy, there's no place of sanctity. They can access my thinking at will, and I am never free of their ceaseless
2. To others and take their money and then flee while he goes everywhere he goes to him. He changes his style and even his name so that no one knows him. And one day he went to a secluded village and its residents are very simple and stayed in it, put him days studying his condition and prepared his malicious plan. And the next day he went out among the village and shouted and asked the residents of the village to congregate. And when he came, he told them that he heard a voice coming from the outskirts of the village, and he says that he is a leader over you and he is the one who protects you. And then after that they all went to the place and they found a statue of stone that did not exist previously. And then this liar rose and made himself understand the language of this statue and started talking with the statue in an unknown way. And after that, it is true, the inhabitants of the village are this trick, and this liar gives them orders, but he tells them that the statue is collects from them the money for this first story. Slides to mind control the victim in forging a position for her while he is sitting on it and giving orders and others, but he claims that the victim is the one who told him this, or makes himself a guard for her, or also a representative of the village residents who became hated the statue because of the orders he gives while he is not. But this liar here is the same thing, so Satan makes the victim responsible for all the orders that he and not the victim give at all, and that you do not know at all in this position. There is a trick by the devil, which is that he says that the Holy Spirit entered the victim's body and then makes himself a translator. He also says that the victim has become aware of the unseen and then he begins to lie. Of course, there are tricks. Many of them include giving positions to the victim, for example, saying the God 3. I give her an organization, or make her a leader of his tribe, or a governor, or a person responsible for her family and those you know from friends and others. And this is what I always warn of, and I try to make victims understand the game, because it is not at all something related to religion or God, because these are terrorist gangs that use religion as a cover. Only her, and these gangs are the ones who were attacking the international forces in Iraq. Of course, beware of such a position that will reduce the damage a lot. Here in the second story, which is that there was a kidnapping gang that kidnapped one of the children and they put him in their car and then set off. But after they got out of the city, he was surprised to find police control searching the car he came in. When the turn came to them, the kidnapped child shouted for help, but so is a professional gang with everything. One of them put his hand on the child's mouth and then the other told the police that this is his son crying because he did not buy him a bicycle, and then another thief said that he will buy him a bike provided that the police keep quiet. Here, the police heard all this talk, and after that they apologized to the gang for disturbing them by stopping their car, and then they told the child to be obedient to his family, and if he did not, they will punish him. And so these kidnapping gangs escape here. His words believed anyone, but they made and because it is a mistake or a psychopath. For example, also, we note that this kidnapping gang is like mind control gangs that follow the victim through espionage, and they are the ones who spread lies about them, and they have a professional team with all kinds of lies as they lie and say that the victim works for them or has a position which is working unseen, etc. from lies, and all these lies will make others enjoy the victim's belief and remain.
Che! What are you doing? Pa! Che! Don't do anything rash! Pa! Hurry!
Kim!
I just need to stop talking to me.
Why? What's wrong with you? Is life so bad that you want to kill yourself?
I just need the voices to stop.
This again. Ah! It doesn't make any sense. Kim,
I just need the voices to stop.
Kim?
Tell me what it's like when you hear voices.
I don't hear them anymore.
Did you ever really hear them, or were they just kind of thoughts that crept into your mind?
I don't know. Like sometimes I hear whispers and I can't make out what they're saying.
Okay.
So it's scary for me.
Four. They look at her only if they do not become with the gang on her. I also mean from this story is to focus on their distorting the truth by making the victim look like something else. For example, someone who works for them or has a position in followers and funds, while the truth is not so. Also, as I said earlier, that this gang has dirty laws that they know about, and all of them have no legitimacy, and they are just traps for hunting the victims. For example, they consider food, drink, housing, taking a need from them, or talking to them as if they belong to them, and this is what you do not know by the victims, that you may pray with them and think that they are with God or live with her family, and she does not know. For example, that a girl made her followers of her, or made someone whom the victim knows from friends or others, as well as elements she has, and in this way the gang plays our game so that she considers any words or taking a need or food or drink, etc. belong to her. Also, the gang destroyed all the financial resources of the victim in order to resort to these only. Thus, of course, more immersion of these laws is not fixed because the gang changes it or adds paragraphs to it or lets them according to its interest, because there is no higher side than it holds them to account, because if she notices herself she loses these laws, then she will change them. The first I have false attributes for it, that they spread about it in order to isolate it or make the rest of the victim look like an employee in their department, and there are penalties, for example, issued by the director of that department or expelled from this department, etc., so that they make the problem as if it is an internal matter and there is no right to, nobody interferes in it. But the second image is the truth, which is that the victim is just a victim only, but this quality
Jetzt sind die
اسكت واغرب عن وجهي يا عديم الفائدة.
Now I have something that I want to add, and it is a matter that the victim will turn into something very similar to the Cosmic Soldiers movie Venus. It will raise the temperature by a high rate that threatens the life of the victim, especially in hot weather.
Hey, where's the freezer?
take the night out of you easy. And I know that you still wanna see me. Like a Sunday morning music real loud. Let me love you while the moon is still loud. Something in you, may have heaven in me. The feeling won't let me sleep. 'Cause I'm lost in the way you move, the way you feel. This is all it takes. Falling in love with me. Possibilities. I look like all you need. This is all it takes. Falling in love with me. Possibilities. I look like all you need. Take the night out of you easy. And I know that you
خطرك فظيع يا بلاكي أتحمله ولن خطرك فظيع يا بلاكي أتحمله ولن انتهت اللعبة اقفزوا
Lies. Now I have something that I want to reveal the truth and reveal the lies that I heard. A few people I do not know who to believe in. They are promoting unbelievable lies, which is about the issue of implementing the international resolution against the former regime in Iraq, and this is what is called by mistake called the war in Iraq, and it was not a war at all but implementation and international decision after thousands of peaceful initiatives failed to make the former regime withdraw from the state of Kuwait, which is a sovereign state. The former regime cancelled its presence and made it a province of it as it was advancing in order to take other countries as well, and this is the reason for issuing such an international decision against him. So where does the war lie? I wanted to tell you another important thing, which is that the former regime struck the Kurdistan region of Iraq with weapons of mass destruction and killed thousands of citizens, but no one ever came to him because of the lack of an international resolution against him. Here I complete for you the topic, which is the implementation of the international resolution. First of all, the coalition forces are efficient armies. Ali also does not want to harm any civilian or citizen. Secondly, there is something about the people's relationship with the previous regime. For example, in 1990 it happened that the people turned against the regime and took control of 2/3 of Iraq. Little remained for the previous regime, but what happened is that the regime returned again because of its use of its giant intelligence network at the time. Thousands of cases have affected the morale of the people, which is why he did not repeat it when the liberation operations began in Iraq. I personally advised people, especially members of the army and security, to stay away. One of them told me that he hated the regime, but the regime is a devil, and the second will come back to take revenge on him. The fifth column in the regime's media publish lies. At the lies covered, but what happened was that I had a group with me, and there were many like me inside Iraq. We were inciting people against the previous regime, and this was an unprecedented risk, and many of those who were doing this were killed, and I was sentenced to death in absentia by the previous regime. Also, the people never want to be with the system. These are the reasons, and not at all a very funny lie, which is that the international forces were used for mind control or V2K. This is the biggest lie, and I do not know who believes this. Second, from a scientific point of view, and this will be known to everyone who understands by mind control and the specialists, and that his issue is to enter voices into the brain, needs long periods as it should. The victim's intervention is in a state of isolation and is surrounded by a climate of failure with everything. She must also think a lot about this device, etc. Also, the intelligence of that previous regime used to have mind control. Of course, I always want to reveal the fact that terrorism now is the one who uses its weapons for mind control. This fact, which unfortunately is a very clear truth, but some unfortunately, and because of personal purposes to them, they are only referred to lie.
May not be killed. Whatever else, Kao is no fool. What fate awaits them in the frightened capital? May not be killed. Whatever else, Kao is no fool. What fate awaits them in the frightened capital?